Welcome back to the Work of Wellbeing podcast. I'm Amy Green, your host from The Wellness Strategy, and we're here to talk about all things personal and professional wellbeing. This podcast is designed to help you become curious and consider your everyday wellbeing strategies, what you do for your own wellness, and how you can start to transform your life both in and out of the workplace. Sit back, grab a cup of tea, maybe grab a notepad, a journal, and get ready to feel really enlightened about what wellbeing used to be, what it is now, and where you can take your own wellness strategy. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Work of Wellbeing podcast. I'm Amy, your host from the Wellness Strategy, and we have Baz on my lap. Let's hope he doesn't decide to wake up. I want to share with you some really cool things schools are doing. This will be a quick episode, but hopefully it's an inspiring one, a motivating one, and one that gets you thinking about the autonomy you have to be able to make changes and do things in your school environment. My last episode was around autonomy, if you didn't catch it. Just to recap, helping you understand that autonomy is not necessarily about doing what we want all of the time. It's about understanding where we do and don't have control with certain things, and where we do have control, asking ourselves, where does autonomy exist in terms of how, why, when, where, how, who, whatever that might be. So one of the examples I used was we don't have autonomy around the curriculum in terms of deciding what the curriculum is. That's decided for us. But we do have autonomy in how we deliver it, which opens up so many different opportunities for us to consider. We're not told how to teach, we're told what to teach. And so we get to decide how we deliver that. That's pretty cool. And so in the space of thinking about autonomy in a school environment, what I'm going to share with you today are some really cool things schools have done or schools are starting to do with the autonomy that they have to turn their school into a great workplace. All right, here they are. So some schools are considering 9-day fortnights for staff. What this means is on the 10th day of a fortnight, they get to work from home. So it's not necessarily a shorter working week. It's a 9-day on-site fortnight. And on the 10th day, they get to work remotely, work from a place of their choosing, have flexibility to maybe not work on a Friday, but catch up on that work on a weekend, or work longer Monday to Thursday and have a Friday off. I don't know. Friday may not be the day, but just as an example. So it's giving people the freedom and the flexibility to have a day within their fortnight to choose how and when they work. How cool is that? Some schools are also, with more in secondary schools, extending this to students. So students having a 4 or a 4.5 day week or a 9-day fortnight, and on that day where they're not on site, or that half day, working from home using study time, flipped learning time, whatever that might be, which means that time where students would normally be on site, staff are now able to have extended hours for planning and team meetings, for professional development, for parent-teacher meetings, whatever that might look like. It's different school to school, but I can share with you, it's happening. Another really cool thing is allowing staff to choose their own playground duties. And you might think this is silly, or why would that happen? Or, how does that link to wellbeing? I want to share with you that not everyone loves playground duty. Not everyone loves playground duty in certain areas. We have to do it. It's part of the job. But I know as someone who, I'll give you an example. I worked in a school that had primary school students, but also senior school students. I've worked in a few of those, and doing a playground duty where it was senior students that I didn't teach was tricky. I didn't know the students. I didn't have relationships with them. I didn't know their names. It made it really hard. But doing playground duty in areas where the students I taught were playing, or where they were accessing that space, was a lot easier for me. I knew the kids knew me, they knew my name. And in numerous schools that I have worked with, this has been a theme. And it sounds so small, what we have been able to do is allow staff to elect where they would like to do their playground duty based on the students they teach and the students they know. Now, what this does is it allows them to feel less stressed when they head out to playground duty, because they're not going to an area they feel uncomfortable in, and they're not going to a place where they don't know kids' names. And I know we could say, well, it's an opportunity to learn kids' names, but is it? I mean, it's somewhere from 10 to 20 minutes, and the kids are playing, and it can be loud and noisy, and they move around, and it's not the best environment to build relationships in. It also is often a time where, as educators, we're running from one class to another. We've got playground duty in the middle of that. And then if we have a break at some point, we're really just going to the toilet and eating. And so adding that layer of, gosh, I don't know these kids' names, and I've got to manage their interactions, and that they don't really know who I am. When you work in a really large school, some students don't even know you're an educator. They can think that you're a parent or someone walking through, because they just don't know who you are, and that's no one's fault. But when you are able to be with the students that you teach, gosh, it makes the day less stressful. Another great thing that we have is schools looking to reorganize non-contact time so that it is in large chunks. There is some research from Cal Newport, Cal Newport talks and references about in Deep Work and his book Slow Productivity, which is all around, how do we work best? And there are multiple people that talk about this actually. If we are jumping from task to task and don't have sustained amounts of time to get work done, it creates increased cognitive overload, and it decreases our productivity and efficiencies. In a school setting where you might be getting non-contact in 30 or 40-minute blocks, it's very unlikely that we can get into a deep work space and be effective and efficient, because we just don't have the time. It's just not a thing to be able to do, because you can't do that in 20 or 30 minutes. So schools are looking at how can non-contact be reorganized so pieces of it are done together in bigger chunks, and either backed onto a break where no duty occurs as well, so that deep work can exist. There are two other things that sit alongside this that I know schools are doing. One is if you start secondary schools where staff are used to cover absent teachers, and this can look like anything on any day of the week, depending on where you work. Staff are electing 1 or 2 sessions within a week or a fortnight where they won't be used for a cover, so that they know that those 1 or 2 sessions within a week or a fortnight, they have to work on their tasks. What this means is, let's say every Tuesday and Thursday, an educator might have a free period where they don't have a class, but they could arrive and be pulled to cover a class, or plan to, mark some student work ready for the next lesson, and then be asked last minute to go and cover a class. That can be really challenging. And so schools are now looking at, well, if staff have 1 or 2 sessions a week or a fortnight that they can allocate, it means they can plan. So you would know on Tuesdays and Thursdays, when you don't have that session teaching, you're not going to be covered for a spare or asked to cover a spare, which means that you can confidently know, you know what, you don't have to take that work home and mark it, because you've got first session Tuesday morning to get it done, and you can use that time. So it allows people to plan for their time better, which reduces cognitive load. The other thing that is happening in this space is also considering, how do we get teams off at the same time? So alongside reorganizing non-contact is the opportunity to consider what this looks like for teams. Is it possible to either have people in the same teams not teaching at the same time? And some schools, if you're in a small school, this happens a lot easier. If you're in a primary school, it's generally easier than a secondary school. But it's something to consider if you don't. It's something to ask, who in our school do we want to be collaborating and working with, and are we providing the structures for that? Because otherwise we're leaving it to chance, and chance is not a strategy. So we need to consider, what structures exist to allow people to work well together. And if you are the person doing the timetabling, or a leader listening to this and you don't know, ask staff, what would be really useful for you in terms of your non-contact? Is there someone that you want to be released with? What would that look like in an ideal world? In the most amazing timetable ever you could create, what would that look like? Which leads me to another point. Some schools are actually allowing staff to create their dream timetable. And what this means is, again, leveraging on the work of Cal Newport in terms of deep work and productivity and how we work best, and also bringing in things like strengths, is asking staff, when do you work best in terms of when do you like to teach, when do you like to plan, when do you like to do team meetings? Because we're not all morning people, we're not all afternoon people. I know for me personally, if I could have had my dream timetable, I probably would have requested that I had session 1 off every day, because I am a morning person. I like to get in early. I like to get stuff done. I could take care of all of my admin, get everything ready, and then start teaching from 10 o'clock. And teach right through until the afternoon, and then allow myself to have the afternoon to do creative things, or go and do whatever I wanted to do. Some people are the absolute opposite. They might want to be on site and teaching from first session, because that allows them to do their face-to-face work, and perhaps they're more creative or more strategic in the afternoons, so they might not want to have a lesson in the afternoons in lessons 5 or 6, or depending on how many periods you might have. Some people might, in their dream timetable, like to do their team meetings before school rather than the afternoon, which we always seem to do, or have staff meetings from 7 a.m. Now, I realize I'm stretching things here in terms of unions and hours, but in our most amazing timetable and most amazing ideal life, where we dream about what things would look like, we throw those rules out, we throw those different pieces out, and we just really start to think about what's possible. Now, this is possible because we do have some autonomy in some systems and some settings to be able to extend. If your team has a team meeting from 3 to 4 p.m. and as a team you decide you want to move that to 7 to 8 a.m., that's okay. You can do that. Schools are allowing staff to do that. You have to have a meeting. When you do it is up to you. In the meeting, you need to do these things. When you do that is up to you. That's autonomy. This is what we can start to extend in terms of autonomy and control, and what we can play with and what we can do. I mean, that's really, really exciting when you think about that. We don't all have to subscribe to the same timetable. We can start to play with that. So that's, again, something to ask your staff. What would you like to see in that dream, most amazing, ideal timetable? It doesn't always have to look the same. Another thing that I have seen some schools do to help in the wellbeing and stress space is moving away from written newsletters and written communication to parents, and utilizing video and audio. In a world where we consume information so quickly, it's interesting in a school setting that we still use written long form as the prime way of communicating with our parent community and even students. What some schools are doing is starting to record short podcasts for to replace a newsletter, to create a multitude of mini videos and uploading them to their Facebook page, where each video unpacks something that's happening, which means parent communities can just watch the pieces or listen to the pieces that are relevant to them rather than the whole thing. The other thing this eliminates too is the editing and the formatting of newsletters. That just takes so much time. Now, some of the things that I've shared here, you might be thinking, gosh, I would never have thought that is something that we would do in order to support staff wellbeing. But what we have to remember that when we're talking about well-being and being well, we're also talking about reducing stresses and reducing stress factors. And when we start to be really specific around what stress factors are in our environment and what we might like to do differently, this is the cool stuff that happens. This is what I do in schools. This is the stuff that I love. This is the creative work that I get to do with schools to help them redesign how they function so staff thrive. And it is not the work that you think, is it? It's definitely not doing less work. It's actually about asking, gosh, how can we rethink and redesign what we do so that it's more efficient, it's more effective, it's more purposeful. Another thing schools are starting to play with, and when I mean play with, these are really discussions. There's nothing set in stone that I've seen here, but it's I know it's coming, is looking at all of the things we do in our busy calendars and starting to ask, do staff have the energy, the time, the space, and the capacity to do all these things well? Some schools are looking at all of the events and starting to ask, does every single year group need to participate in that event? Do we start to allocate certain events or certain special days or certain celebrations to year groups to celebrate, to recognise, so that it's only certain students and it's only a certain number of staff who are involved in that, rather than everyone all of the time? If you are a school that celebrates everything, I have no doubt that would be taking away from core learning and teaching time. And so we have to start asking, what's really important to us in a school environment? Is it that we celebrate all of the different things? Or is it that we teach our students and help them learn? And if all of the things that we're doing that sit outside of our learning and teaching experiences start to detract from great educational opportunities our students need, we might need to rethink it. Some schools are even considering looking at certain celebrations or things that we might acknowledge and doing them every second year rather than every year. Now, I know the challenge is, but how would we decide? And what about parent community? And what about students missing out? And in some way, when we do all of the things, we're missing out on something anyway. We're either missing out on learning in our classrooms, we're missing out on sleep, we're missing out on planning times, we're missing out on other things. And so we have to ask the question, if we're going to miss out on something, what's something we can miss out on, but still do our job well, still work well, still feel well, our students can still have a great experience. And there's a trade-off. We need to start to consider these things, not just through, kids are going to miss out, so we need to do it, but through capacity of staff, through capacity of our educators, through capacity of the people actually organising and doing the things. Because lots of what I see on calendars looks great, but it's not sustainable long-term to keep doing that. It's not sustainable for ourselves. It's not sustainable for our students. It's not sustainable for our parent communities, our carer communities, for the wider community. And we really need to start asking, what are we trying to do? And what's the most effective way to do that? There are so many wonderful things happening in schools, and every day when I connect in with one of the schools that I'm working with, I get to do this amazing work. I get to have fun. I get to challenge people to think differently. I get to sit with people from across school environments and ask them, what ideas or suggestions do you have? And this is what I see. It's not about morning teas. It's not about having every Friday off. It's not about not doing our job well. It's about considering what we're already doing and asking, how can we do this in a way that's more efficient, more effective, and more supportive of us to allow us to feel, work, team, and lead well. And I love that. I love all of it. If you're doing something cool in your school, or you know of something, I want to hear about it. Share this and share what you're doing or what you know. If you have any ideas and you think, gosh, wouldn't it be good if we did this? Let me know. I think this is, the more we have these conversations around what's possible, the more we start to realize, gosh, we have autonomy in places that perhaps we didn't expect. And that whilst many of us are searching for the big things, the good stuff lies in the small changes too. As always, I would love to hear what you think. So share, like, comment, do whatever you do. And know that more of this great work is starting to come to fruition. If you're feeling disheartened, please don't. Education's great. And I have no doubt that over the next few years, we're going to see some great transformations come through. As always, if you need anything, you know how to find me. Otherwise, have a great day, week, night, evening, whatever time of day it is for you. And I'll see you somewhere soon. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really do hope you have enjoyed it. The information discussed today was just that, information only. It's not specific advice. If you take action following something you heard today, it's important to make sure that you get professional advice about your unique situation before you proceed, whether that advice be legal, financial, accounting, medical, or otherwise. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or if there's anything else I can do to support your own wellbeing and wellness journey, whether it's another topic you'd like me to discuss or whether it's support in your school, workplace, or individually. And if you do know someone who might benefit from listening to this, please remember to tell them about it, share the episode with them, or suggest my Instagram, my website, or LinkedIn where they can find out more about me and what I do. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.